having faith, trusting God through the dark times. It's very hard, isn't it, to trust God and His purposes and His promises when we're suffering. I've got some health issues to do with headaches and to do with chronic issues. It's hard sometimes to see the purpose in that or to see exactly what God is doing. But let me read you Moses today. By faith, Moses, verse 24, chapter 11, when he had grown up, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter and chose to suffer with the people of God rather than enjoy the fleeting pleasure of sin. That is, Moses was faithful to God even through his suffering and chose to identify with this suffering rather than take the easy option out. It is really hard to identify with God and His people if you're suffering, but Moses decided that it was better to please God and to be obedient to Him and identify with Him. In the Gospels it talks about Jesus' people suffering for identifying with Him. Peter, we talked a few days ago about denying Jesus. And Jesus warns and tells His disciples that they will face suffering, especially if they identify with Him. Today it is still largely ignored, but there are thousands and thousands of Christians, and mainly Christians around the world, that are persecuted and suffer for their faith and for identifying with Jesus. It's a worldwide global tragedy that is often ignored and people just don't really want to know about it. But you will guaranteed face suffering in life if you identify with God and with God's people. God says that there is hope because it is always better to be obedient to Him and to identify with Him even when it's hard. That's being faithful and a life of faith through suffering, and continue to hold on to Him and not seeing suffering as just the end of the road or despair, but continuing to hold on to Him as your light. It's faith in God and faithfulness through suffering. See you tomorrow.